is my entry to the Imagineering competition, and this is the real-time free musicianship device, RTFM for short, mildly inspired by software issues at the beginning of the project. So the origin, how did I think of this idea? At the end of high school, coming into BU the summer before, I used to play on the street. So if you ever see going to Copley Square and you see street performers, I used to do that at the end of high school. And I had trouble catching people's attention. And there's a couple reasons why. There's 3 ways to catch people's attention and to be a musician and to perform. 3 that I identified here. You can have an outstanding appearance. Yes. You can be an outstanding technical musician. Coltrane, an excellent example. You can have amazing stage presence. You can draw attention that way. And this device attracts all three of those elements all in one. So for the current design features, what we have right now, this is just a signal flow diagram. Take a look at it, data and power. But as for the features, we can play pre-recorded music. This is both Bluetooth and as an aux cable to the Raspberry Pi down here. Either or, can play both at the same time. And we can do LEDs that emulate audio equalizer for the pre-recorded and live music, so anything that goes to the mic responds to in real time. And we have a looper button. I don't know if you're familiar with guitar loop pedals, but you can play something, record it, and then you can keep looping that and play back over that sound. And we have a button here right by my thumb, which is unused, and so I can press that and loop anything I want. Piano, bass, this saxophone, beatboxing, whatever. And it's an important part to me was a tight form factor. So I could have just done a guitar loop pedal, but that's more difficult to carry around, and I wanted to make this as simple and easy as possible for musicians to access. And so everything is as tight as possible, and nothing gets in the way of the actual physical playing of a saxophone. And you couldn't see this now. I can do a restart after this presentation, but you can see it boot up once you turn on, and the lights go up, and you can see that it's adjusting for noise. So if you're playing in a big band, you would let them play, and then have it boot up, and it would take that as background noise, subtract it from whatever you're doing. So ideally, you're just getting hear what you're playing through your saxophone. The purpose of this prototype. This prototype has so much room for expansion that I just wanted to get a proof of concept for this. I wanted to get something that worked, and I wanted to get something that had elements to build off of, to grow. And so we have no latency with visual effects, no latency with audio signals, which you'll see after this, after the demonstration. We have ease of use, it's all easily mounted. And we have huge potential for expansion, which I'm so excited about. You can have an integrated mic in the instrument. So right now the microphone is right down here, but that picks up a lot of background noise. Sometimes if I'm out in Copley Square, if I'm playing, it picks up background noise if I'm doing a loop. And so what I can do is have a pickup inside, similar to an electric guitar. I can have it inside the saxophone. And this was actually an idea in the 50s by a saxophone company, but it never caught on because the technology wasn't there to back it up. Now I believe it is. You can add audio effects, reverb, distortion. I might not be familiar with these terms, but any effect you can add post-production, you could add in real time and add buttons to adjust them real time. And then an LED upgrade. This one is, it has some potential to be a teaching tool actually as well. So you have, right now you have a 4x8 LED strip. It doesn't have very high resolution. You can upgrade to an 8x32 LED strip. And that can perform letters. You can see letters. So if you play that's a G, A, and a B, you could have that display in real time, G, A, B. And if you're teaching, if you're a student or a teacher, that immediate visual feedback can prevent so many issues. It's an amazing teaching tool. It has an outstanding potential. And for design specs, I won't go into too much absolute detail, but I'll do a brief overview of what everything is in the system. So we have the Wolfson audio card, which is the microphone, and what's interfacing with the speaker, which is a shield right on top of the Raspberry Pi. In the Raspberry Pi 2, which does all the processing, FFT handles the loop, it'll handle all the effects when those are added on. We have an LED strip, and we have the battery pack that's handling it all, as well as the button down here. Now for expansion, we can use the Raspberry Pi 3 that just came out, which would eliminate all of my concerns about any delay by adding in more processing, which would actually eliminate the new need for an Arduino, because right now the Arduino is just interfacing with the LED and the buttons, but both of those could be handled by the Pi directly. Bigger LED strip, again, requiring a bigger battery pack, more buttons, and a professional weatherproof case for this electronics, which I left exposed just because I like it exposed right now. I've seen the electronics out here. And just some creation. How did I create this? What were the steps involved? Mostly software issues. It was very difficult to get the audio driver and the image on the Pi and to get everything initialized correctly. So that includes serial communication between the Pi and the Arduino. That includes the frequency bands being right down here, accurate representation, as well as the looper, and getting that debugged and working correctly. Now that the base layer is there, the potential to expand is great. And I'm definitely, absolutely going to be working on this over the summer and into next year, because there's so much to build upon and potentially be a product or a teaching tool in itself. And this picture is turning the LED strip, which just came to me in a script, 32 LEDs, into 4x8. Sort of 4x8. There were actually 2 LEDs that didn't work on the product itself, so I had to cut those out, if you can see it down there. And for the market, purely from a business perspective, actually I made business analysis here. You can look at that and pass it around if you want. It's just a very detailed look at the market size, looking at the other players in the market and where I would fit in, purely from a business perspective. And just, you can read more in there, either during this presentation or afterwards. But as a high level, people that I could market to, North America, Europe, 1.3 billion. Let's say 1/4% even play an applicable instrument. So saxophone, trumpet, trombone, acoustic guitar even. All could put this on there and make different versions for different instruments. 50%, assume all this is assumptions, we'll just say 50% never consider it. We still get 1.6 million people that we can influence with this product, which a price of $150, which is further explained on that sheet. It goes to $250 million, which is not trivial. That has enormous room for getting into this market, just because it's such a unique product and nothing integrates a visual and audio experience live like this does. And that's all I'll go into now. We can talk about it afterwards as well, in questions. Yeah. But now for the important part, which is the actual impact. This guy plays in Boston Gardens, and this is essentially what this product is meant to be. It's meant to, a lot less heavy, but it's a lot to show off and get people's attention. And that's one of the biggest keys, that's why I started this product, is to get people's attention. And because that's more than half the battle as a musician. Once you have their attention, then you can impress, then you can call them back. So that's what this does. And I'm really getting more growing, teaching is appealing to me now. It never crossed my mind at the beginning, but it has enormous potential there for 3 reasons. One, you can inspire kids this way to start music and to keep with music. It's exciting, it's flashy, it's impressive. You can inspire engineering in creative music, which I think is huge, because I'm an engineer in half my life, and I'm a musician in half my life, and this brings together both. And I think that can have some great impacts to musicians that want to cross over to engineering, and vice versa. And you can instruct students with better tools, as I mentioned earlier. And for musical expression, you can create different audio effects. You can create more tools, just with having musicians real time. For acoustic, electric guitars can have effects real time, no problem. But it's much, much more difficult for acoustic instruments to do so. And that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish with this. And again, getting noticed over and over and over, getting noticed. So these are 3 customer impacts, our hotspots for the product. And that's all I have for this presentation. Now we can go to a demonstration. I can show you exactly what this thing can do. So I'm going to do the looper pedal first. Say that. So just a quick, if I press the button and I speak into it like this, and I speak into it like this, and I speak into it like this, and it'll keep playing. So I press the button again. So I could record a saxophone effect. I could record maybe beatboxing. Does anyone know how to beatbox here? No one? Okay.
I think Tom does.
I'll try.
Just be a little
I can try it out here. Or you could have an accompaniment, if you're more into jazz. Let's play blues, straight from here. Yeah. That's all I have for a demonstration. And now we can take any questions you have.
So,
Yeah.
do you know anything about, first, I love that. It's really, really cool.
You gotta say that first.
Yeah, no, really. Do you know anything about the, I know you can make and build and sell those things and people will like it. I know, I'm quite sure of it. I mean, maybe not to the average person, of course, but people who are into music, definitely, right? I mean, the electric guitar already has a lot of that stuff, right? And people go nuts over getting those pedals and stuff. Is there something you know about what we've done? I want to follow up with that if you answer.
Have an interesting
Nothing individually, potentially the system. And I don't know enough about patents to say one way or the
So I
other.
thought you were going to say that. So I'd like you to come and talk to me.
Okay.
Okay. And or take a course. I'm past. But seriously, I know you're going to work on it this summer. You should come talk to me. Okay. Sometimes, off my top of my head, I don't also know anything exactly patentable, but I bet there's an angle there. You said the system, and I believe there's something there. So it should be explored because it would help you in keeping your market as you
Right.
go.
But
Right.
it's not owned by you.
No. No.
It's not. It's not.
I just
This is all-
clarified that from the
No,
beginning.
it's not.
All these ideas are leaving
There's-
with the
there's some-
students.
Yeah.
Even when you get the prize money, you still own it back. You'll be able to pay for it.
Yeah.
I just get 1%.
This, the teaching tool actually has potential to be patentable because I'm not certain that exists right now. Just playing real-time notes that you're playing, which I believe is possible with the interface that we have, which is higher resolution and better software. So
It's possible. It could do several things. I don't know offhand, but it's worth exploring.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I ask, right now, it's, the lights are hooked to the amplitude of the signal, right?
Correct.
But you can do it for pitch, is what you're saying.
So right now, I might not have done a good job explaining this. So when you listen to the radio, a lot of the times on your car, it has a little equalizer that bounces up and down with the music. And typically to the left, it corresponds to lower frequency, and the right is higher frequency. And so you can see that here. If you go, oh, it's more on the right. And if you go higher,
Oh, okay, so it is actually.
yes, and it responds to the amplitude of those bands that are split up.
So then you could definitely put in a letter for.
Oh yeah,
GAB.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
How about networking opportunities? Oh, I'm sorry, you raised your hand. You should go first. You actually raised your hand. Didn't polite.
Up to him.
We'll do the polite thing. That's what I was taught in class.
So you mentioned doing FFTs. Are you doing signal processing on the pod?
Yes, it's a NumPy library that takes care of the FFT.
And that's where you're doing the separation for the.
Correct. So all of the processing is done on the Pi, and then it just sends. Right now, it's sending a 4-character string to the Arduino, which is telling each band how high to go.
So you can easily lose the.
Yes, exactly.
Does the sound card, does that add value, except just as data acquisition?
No,
So there's
It does
no
not.
DSP on that?
no, it's the input to the mic. So what I could do is have a USB audio card that does microphone and speaker out, as long as it does them at the same time, which this can do.
Could you do USB audio straight into the pod?
Yes.
So you might be able to lose the audio card too?
Yeah, exactly.
You
That
can
would be the goal.
interface directly.
The goal, because right now the audio card is taking up all the pins, which is why I have to use an Arduino to interface with everything. So once we do the Pi 3, then we can go to a USB audio card, and then we won't have to worry about pins, and we can use those to deal with this, we can use them to deal with this, and
Yeah,
buttons.
yeah, it occurs to me there might be some value in that, and it's distilling the audio in some value in a way versus just a USB microphone.
Maybe. Well, I'm gonna have to do some more tests on that. Good point.
So from a networking opportunity, so it's interesting. As I mentioned, I went back and saw my niece and nephew perform at a jazz concert.
Yes.
And, all the saxophones are in the front row,
Yeah.
and they stand up for the solo. It'd be kind of, you could actually, instead of just tying sound, you could actually have a display going across there or something. How possible is that with this, or is that going to require another, is that going to require the next generation?
The display across where? The saxophone?
Yeah, I mean, across the multiple ones, it'd be easy to tie them into each other, so you got something that's not just displayed on one.
Yeah. It's, I mean, what I was saying in my presentation is this is just the beginning. There's so much room for expansion. It's highly dependent on where I want to take this. I could do teaching tool. I could do something like that for live bands. And have an LED strip in the front.
No, LED jacket.
We can do jackets.
Oh, yeah.
There's huge potential.
Yeah.
You can also run Bluetooth off this and go to Bluetooth speakers
Yes.
and
Yes.
not have the stickers right there.
Right. That might introduce latency. I haven't
Yeah.
tested that yet. But yeah, the Pi 3 has that. This does not. So I couldn't do it that way.
Do you know how much latency you can hear? What's the limit?
40 milliseconds, 40 milli or microseconds, I think it's milliseconds, is latency, perceived latency from
So the Pi 3 has built-in Bluetooth.
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
But the capture and then reproduction process may take.
Will take
Yes.
enough time.
So if I were doing an effect, which I have not integrated yet, if I were to do if I'm playing, then it plays at the same time. It would play both of those notes at the same time. And that would have to be real time. So potentially Bluetooth. Any other questions?
You have a website of your games, so we can help with it.
I have a portfolio which I actually entered in that competition as well.
I know that well.
But yeah. But I do not have a big website. I have a band that's playing on Friday. If you would like to come to that, BU Central.
Oh, what time?
At 7 o'clock is when the student-led bands are there, and then there's intermission with Cane's Chicken, and then there will be other bands, and I believe I'm first on that program.
What's the name of the program? Is it just some.
You Jazz Fest, I think. Yeah, so it's all the jazz programs
Was
that
it
are
a week
there.
from today?
What's that?
A week from today?
Friday. So today.
Today is today.
Yeah.
I was hoping
Yeah.
it'd be today.
Yes.
It's today. Are you gonna be using the whole setup?
I don't know. I've actually, I don't know. I've tested this in the basement with my band, and it actually does a pretty good job of filtering them out. But I've not tested it in that type of acoustical space. So maybe I'll probably bring it just to test it out.
And you haven't tried it when you perform at Copley Center? I mean, to see how much a crowd
Copley,
is?
I went to Marsh,
Okay.
but I've not gone to Copley yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I took it to CFA, which I was shocked all the classical students down there. That was blasphemy that I would do such a thing. Yeah.
So be careful, playing there.
Yeah, someone actually made a joke about that today. Yeah, when I was setting up, I was can't bring that in for. Yeah, I know. I had to close everything.
Well, you remember that MIT student?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? You got into MIT, right? That might not be the worst thing.
I think you get out of
It was
it,
a
MIT
gal.
too.
It was a gal.
Yeah. Do you have to do any modification to the saxophone itself as far as?
No,
No
nothing
holes,
permanent.
no, yeah.
Correct. That was a big thing for the prototype. So it's Velcro right now. This is Velcro on, this is Velcro on, this is Velcro on, and it sticks very, very well. Don't want to shake it too hard, but it sticks. It sticks pretty well. And the next stage is drilling a mic in, getting this button down so it's not just tape, just gluing it down, and permanently mounting some stuff. And it's booting up right now, so you can actually see when the lights start going up.
Yeah, I
it
did that a
should-
second ago, yeah.
Yes, so it should be doing it again shortly, and that's the initialization process. Any more questions?
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
impressive.
Thanks.